It's the word we're taught to fear from childhood, the thing we hide on resumes, the moment we replay at 3 a.m., wishing we could rewrite history. But what if failure isn't the end of the story? What if the moments that feel like total collapse are actually the beginning of something that changes the world? Today, we're going to explore the darkest failures in history, moments of humiliation, loss, rejection, and despair that later became world-changing victories. These aren't overnight success stories. These are stories of people who hit rock bottom and kept going. 1. The teacher who was too stupid to learn, Albert Einstein. Before Albert Einstein became the face of genius, he was considered a failure. As a child, he spoke late. His teachers believed he lacked intelligence. One even told his parents he would never amount to anything. Einstein struggled in school, hated rigid education, and failed to conform. When he graduated, he couldn't find a teaching job. No university wanted him. He ended up working as a low-level patent clerk, reviewing inventions nobody cared about. From the outside, Einstein looked forgotten. But inside that tiny office, something remarkable was happening. During breaks, Einstein ran thought experiments in his head, imagining what would happen if he chased a beam of light or how time might bend under gravity. In 1905, while still working at the patent office, he published 4 scientific papers that would completely rewrite physics. One of them introduced E equals mc squared. The man labeled a failure became the man who changed how humanity understands the universe. His weakness, not fitting into traditional systems, became his greatest strength. 2. Fired for lacking creativity, Steve Jobs. In 1985, Steve Jobs was fired from his own company. Let that sink in. The man who co-founded Apple was kicked out of Apple. The board believed he was too difficult, too controlling, too chaotic. At 30 years old, Jobs felt publicly humiliated. He later said, "I felt that the focus of my entire adult life was gone." For months, Jobs was lost. But failure created space. He started a new company called Next. He bought a small animation studio from George Lucas, a company called Pixar. At the time, both seemed like disasters. Next computers didn't sell. Pixar burned money. Then Pixar released Toy Story. It became the first fully computer-animated feature film and a global phenomenon. Years later, Apple was struggling. The company that fired Jobs was on the brink of collapse. They begged him to return. When Jobs came back, he reshaped Apple completely, launching the iMac, iPod, iPhone, and iPad. The failure that nearly destroyed him refined him. Jobs later said, "Getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have happened to me." 3. A book rejected 12 times, J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling was living in poverty. She was a single mother, unemployed, clinically depressed, writing in cafes because she couldn't afford heating. Her manuscript for Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was rejected 12 times. Publishers said children wouldn't read it. It was too long. Fantasy was dead. One agent didn't even read past the first chapter. At her lowest point, Rowling later admitted she had contemplated suicide, but she kept writing. Eventually, a small publisher agreed to print the book, with a warning that she should get a real job because it wouldn't make money. Today, Harry Potter is one of the most successful franchises in human history, with over 500 million books sold. The story that no one believed in became a global cultural phenomenon. Rowling once said, "Failure stripped away the inessential. I was free to focus on what mattered." 4. The athlete too weak to compete, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is considered the greatest basketball player of all time. But in high school, he was cut from his varsity basketball team. Cut. Jordan wasn't tall enough, wasn't strong enough, wasn't good enough. He went home and cried. But instead of quitting, Jordan used rejection as fuel. He trained obsessively, woke up earlier, practiced longer, pushed harder. Throughout his career, he missed over 9,000 shots, lost nearly 300 games, failed again and again on the biggest stages. Jordan later said, "I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." Failure didn't stop him, it sharpened him. 5. A business collapse that almost ended it all, Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey grew up in poverty, abuse, and instability. Early in her career, she was fired from her first television job. The reason? She was too emotional. Producers said she wasn't fit for news television. For many, that would have been the end. But Oprah didn't belong in traditional news. She belonged somewhere deeper. She transitioned into talk shows where emotion wasn't a weakness, it was power. Her authenticity created connection. Her vulnerability created trust. The Oprah Winfrey Show ran for 25 years, reached millions daily, and reshaped daytime television. The trait that got her fired made her legendary. 6. A failed product that saved millions of lives. Penicillin. In 1928, Alexander Fleming was experimenting with bacteria in his lab. He left for vacation and made what seemed like a massive mistake. He forgot to clean his petri dishes. When he returned, his experiment was ruined. Mold had contaminated everything. Total failure. Except one thing caught his eye. Around the mold, bacteria had disappeared. That ruined experiment led to the discovery of penicillin, the world's first true antibiotic. A mistake saved hundreds of millions of lives. Failure, in this case, literally changed the course of medicine. The pattern behind every world-changing win. When you look closely, these stories share something powerful. Failure exposed truth. Failure created resilience. Failure forced reinvention. None of these people succeeded despite failure. They succeeded because of it. Failure wasn't a wall, it was a doorway. Why failure feels so dark? Failure hurts because it attacks identity. It whispers, "You're not enough. You're behind. You wasted time." But failure doesn't define worth. It reveals direction. Most people quit not because they fail, but because they interpret failure as a final verdict instead of feedback. History tells a different story. Your failure might be the beginning. Right now, someone listening to this feels stuck. A business failed. A dream collapsed. A door slammed shut. It feels personal, final, embarrassing. But every story you heard today started in that exact place. Failure is often the moment life removes the wrong path, not the right one. The darkest chapter is rarely the ending. It's the turning point. Closing, music slowly rises. If failure means you tried, if it means you risked something real, if it means you refuse to stay comfortable, then you're not losing. You're becoming. And someday, someone might tell your story about how your darkest failure turned into a world-changing win. Fade out. If you want, I can adapt this for YouTube pacing and hooks. Rewrite it for motivational shorts. Add cinematic timestamps or visual cues. Customize it for a specific audience, entrepreneurs, students, athletes. If you did, make sure like and subscribe to our channel for future updates. See you in the next video.